Paris stopped for Meghan. Sussex reigns supreme at Balenciaga. The most unexpected, electrifying, and emotionally resonant moment of this fashion season came not from a supermodel, nor from a fleeting it girl, but from the woman whose very name reshaped modern royalty, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. Under the glittering lights of Paris, she didn't just arrive, she arrived to conquer. When Meghan Sussex stepped into Pierpaolo Piccioli's first Balenciaga runway as creative director, the atmosphere changed. The chatter softened, the flashbulbs recalibrated, the audience, jaded and desensitized by countless front-row moments, suddenly remembered what true star power feels like. It wasn't about spectacle, it was about substance. She came dressed in a crisp, all-white oversized cape, layered flawlessly over tailored whites that seemed to glide with every movement. Her black pointed-toe heels grounded the look, sharp and deliberate. But it was the slicked-back bun, sleek, sculpted, unapologetic, that delivered the message. I am not here to blend in, I am here to redefine presence. This wasn't just a fashion appearance, it was a reclamation. Meghan's last public tie to Paris was during the somber days following Queen Elizabeth II's passing in 2022. Then she moved through the city quietly, draped in black, carrying the weight of loss, both personal and collective. Now 2 years later, she's back, not in mourning, but in momentum. The symbolism of her return can't be overstated. Paris, the city of rebirth, style, and defiance, became her stage for transformation. From the quiet grief of a royal farewell to the glowing confidence of a woman fully stepping into her next chapter, Meghan's presence told an unspoken story. The crown never made her royal, her courage did. Every detail felt intentional. Her minimal jewelry whispered rather than shouted. The monochrome palette paid homage to both simplicity and supremacy. Even the way she carried herself, with a subtle half-smile and measured grace, said everything words couldn't. There were no guards, no palace aides, no performative protocol, just Meghan, elegant, grounded, radiant, free. Fashion has always been a place where alliances shift with the wind. But Meghan showed that true friendship doesn't fade under spotlight pressure. Her reason for attending wasn't publicity, it was loyalty. She came to support Pierpaolo Piccioli, the visionary designer stepping into his new role as creative director of Balenciaga. The two share not just admiration, but mutual respect. Both are known for their emotional intelligence, inclusivity, and rejection of elitist norms. Pierpaolo, formerly of Valentino, built his career on storytelling through color, fabric, and soul. Meghan through compassion, courage, and reinvention. The two together created a fashion moment layered with meaning. Her front-row presence didn't just validate his debut, it amplified it. It gave the evening a pulse of authenticity that no influencer or celebrity cameo could replicate. When cameras caught Pierpaolo catching Meghan's eye across the runway, there was warmth, not performance. Two creative spirits meeting again at the crossroads of art and respect. Every movement Meghan made felt like choreography, not rehearsed, but earned. Photographers jostled, editors whispered, and social media exploded within minutes. But Meghan remained unmoved. Her calm command turned chaos into theatre. She didn't just walk in, one stylist backstage murmured. She shifted the energy. Indeed, Paris Fashion Week has seen countless icons, from Rihanna to Zendaya. But Meghan's arrival wasn't about dominating fashion headlines. It was about redefining what grace under scrutiny looks like. No theatrics, no over-accessorizing, just pure control. And that slick-back bun, that trademark power move, was the finishing note of authority. It's a hairstyle that says, no distractions, no apologies, just me. For years, Meghan Markle has been subjected to more public noise than most could endure. Yet here she was, turning silence into strategy. Her Balenciaga moment wasn't just fashion, it was a statement of survival, of thriving, of coming back stronger than ever. While critics have spent years trying to define her, Meghan has quietly built her empire. She's launched ventures, championed mental health, expanded her creative brand, and done it all with dignity intact. This Paris moment crystallized all of it. The woman they tried to silence now commands the global spotlight, on her own terms. Fashion insiders will be dissecting her outfit for months, but what truly set it apart was its emotional resonance. White, the colour of clarity, rebirth, and quiet confidence, symbolised Meghan's personal evolution. The oversized cape was not a shield, but an extension of her poise, flowing, weightless, impossible to ignore. The tailoring whispered of discipline, while the texture spoke of softness. It was a masterclass in contrast, power balanced with peace. It takes confidence to wear simplicity. It takes command to make the world stop and stare because of it. And Meghan did just that. As the final model exited the runway and the applause rose, every camera turned back to the front row. To her, editors clapped, designers nodded, a quiet sense of collective awe hung in the air. Meghan didn't need to speak. Her energy filled the room. One French journalist tweeted simply, "Ce soir, Paris appartient à Meghan." Tonight, Paris belongs to Meghan. Indeed, it did. This moment wasn't about couture, it was about cultural power. Meghan represents something larger than fabric or fame. She represents resilience in elegance. She's the woman who turned institutional rejection into global adoration. The Duchess, who replaced rigid palace rules with compassion-led leadership. The icon who wears her authenticity as boldly as she wears Balenciaga. Paris understood that. The world watching did too. Her appearance wasn't a comeback, it was a continuation. The latest chapter in a story that refuses to be rewritten by others. In 2022, the streets of London and Paris bore witness to a subdued Meghan walking behind a queen. In 2025, those same streets watch her walk ahead, leading her own narrative. That transformation, from silence to sovereignty, defines her journey. Paris didn't just host Meghan, it celebrated her rebirth. And as cameras followed her exit, with flashes bursting against the night sky, the collective realization dawned: we weren't just watching a fashion icon, we were watching a legacy in motion. When Meghan stepped into her waiting car after the show, the crowd didn't shout, they simply watched. Phones raised, eyes wide, faces lit with admiration. It wasn't the chaos of celebrity worship, it was reverence. Someone whispered, "C'est la reine du calme," the queen of calm. The door closed, the city lights reflected on her cape like stars falling on silk, and just like that, she was gone. But the echo of that moment lingered in the Parisian air, impossible to forget. Paris Fashion Week 2025 will be remembered not for its fabrics or silhouettes, but for the woman who reminded the world that power can be silent, graceful, and unstoppable. Meghan Markle, Duchess, mother, humanitarian, creator, and now Balenciaga's most luminous guest, didn't just attend Paris Fashion Week. She rewrote it. From mourning to magnificence, from exile to excellence, from whispers to worldwide applause. This was more than fashion. This was the resurrection of a woman who never needed saving, only space to shine. And shine she did. In the days that followed, social media pulsed with her image. Fashion editors called it the moment of the season. Designers whispered of her composure. And fans across the world flooded timelines with one phrase: she stole the show. Because she did. Paris belongs to style. But on that night, under the cathedral ceilings of couture and the flash of endless cameras, style belonged to Meghan. The woman who turned white fabric into poetry. The woman who turned grace into power. The woman who didn't chase the spotlight, she became it. When the crowd began to thin and the night settled over Paris like silk, Meghan's presence still lingered. It wasn't about the cape anymore, or the show, or the luxury. It was about the aura she left behind. That soft, unwavering energy that only comes from a woman who has walked through storms and decided to dance in the rain anyway. Her exit was not a spectacle, it was poetry. No flashing smiles or exaggerated waves. Just a serene nod, a glance over her shoulder, and a glow that belonged to someone who had mastered the art of stillness in a world addicted to noise. Paris didn't cheer. It listened. It felt her. The air itself seemed to pause in admiration. Somewhere nearby, the Eiffel Tower shimmered, its light brushing across the Seine as if to acknowledge her. It was a moment beyond fashion. It was spiritual. Meghan had come not to prove anything, but to be, to stand tall in the same city where she once carried sorrow, now radiating peace and pride. Inside the car that waited for her, photographers caught a fleeting smile through the glass. Small, unguarded, almost luminous. That single image said more than any headline could. She was free. Free from expectation, free from noise, free to choose what moments deserved her presence. And as the car moved through the rain-kissed streets of Paris, a quiet message seemed to echo behind her, one that didn't need to be spoken aloud. The woman they tried to silence is now the one they can't stop watching. By the time the city drifted to sleep, her story had already travelled the world. Millions reposted her images. Designers hailed her as the epitome of timeless elegance. Commentators called her the symbol of modern grace. But for Meghan, the night wasn't about attention, it was about alignment. Because sometimes power doesn't roar. It walks in white, moves through Paris with composure, and leaves the world breathless without saying a word. And on that night, beneath the sparkling Paris sky, Meghan Markle didn't just make an appearance, she made history. To all my curious Sussex family, thank you all for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like, and put a comment bye-bye. See you then in the comment section.